right, welcome everyone. This is Dave. We are going to talk today about the future of our school and how we can move into a more 21st century model. The title of this presentation is "The Future Won't Wait, and Neither Should We." Okay, so here's our agenda items. This is not going to be a long presentation. We're just going to talk about the past, current, and future state of educational needs, the skills that the students need, and then we're going to talk about our vision at Gerheim to move our school into this 21st century vision. And we're going to reflect on that and see if we can come up with some next steps to move that direction. This is not a wholesale change. We're not talking about changing everything we do in education. We're talking about building on what we do well and maybe eliminating things that don't meet the needs of the students for the 21st century. So the vision is we're going to prepare every student to thrive in a world that demands creativity, collaboration, and real-world problem solving. And you already noticed two of those three words are in our life skills. So we are already doing some really great things here at Gerheim. The status of education, historically speaking, it was designed during the industrial age. It was focused on a teacher-centered classroom, limited real-world connection. It was rote memorization. Assessments based on recall, fill in the bubble, that type of thing. Students are expected to listen, follow directions, and work independently, sit down, be quiet. There was very limited group collaboration, and technology was minimal or non-existent, at least it was when I was in school. This is important because it doesn't prepare students for future jobs requiring adaptability. That's important to keep in mind, and does not build transferable competencies. It's just short-term knowledge recall, basically. As we are transitioning here, the focus is on globalization, automation, and technology. That's how the world's changing, and it's related to the workforce. Everything is connected digitally, all our supply chains, just the way the economy in the world works. So the workforce is changing. Students today are digital natives. They've had technology in their hand since the very beginning, so they are more comfortable with it. They communicate with their peers and people in general differently than we did. So there's changing needs for the students, the way they learn, the way they communicate. For 21st century transition of education, we also need to teach from shift from teaching content to teaching competencies. We've been, in the class I'm taking, we've been reading the book, The 21st Century Skills, and it's all about this topic. And proficiency in the 21st century differs primarily due to the emergence of very sophisticated information and communication technologies. I think we can all agree on that. The current state, and we're kind of have one, in my opinion, at Gerheim, we have 1 foot in 21st century curriculum and skills and 1 foot in the past. But some schools are still operating mostly on a 20th century structure. Technology is not integrated. Schools are becoming very technology heavy, but it's not always well integrated into the curriculum and building learning goals and learning plans for students. There's a move towards PBL, which we already do, SEL, and student-centered. We do PBL really, really well. SEL, we are also getting started and on the right track for that. The emphasis now should be on critical thinking, creativity, communication, and collaboration. And again, we use these skills in our life skills that are posted all over the school. There's a growing recognition for authentic real-world learning and assessment, I would add. We're already leading the way with our Model City entrepreneurship and PBL, which connects the students' learning with all these real-world skills. To another quote from the book, classrooms today typically lack 21st century learning and teaching, in part because high-stakes tests do not assess these competencies. And that's true, and that's really something that we can't change, but that drives a lot of what we do, and that kind of holds us back sometimes because we're more concerned about the SBAC testing in the spring and how it relates to our star rating, etc. So that's something we're going to have to do our best to work around. All right, so we need to shift our teaching approach. We need to go from memorization to critical thinking. We need to teach digital citizenship, media literacy, we are going to be guides, designers, and coaches instead of teacher-centered instruction. We are already moving that direction, and we need to be intentional about transitioning to a model that more reflects that. We're going to embed real-world problems, and we're perfectly positioned for that with our model city. We're going to connect the learning through the model city, and we're going to incorporate more digital tools in our model city for creation, collaboration, and problem solving on when the students do their PBLs with their products. Opportunities to construct controversy and problem solving. This is something unique that we don't really do. We always try to avoid the, controversial discourse between the students, but we're actually going to try to facilitate a little bit of problem solving, and it might cause some controversy, but this is going to be an important skill for the children to learn going forward. Performance-based assessments, so getting less away from the SBAC type assessments and doing it more based on the projects, the PBLs, and things that the students are producing. And we're going to talk about staff training to get this whole thing going. So here's just a little breakdown of the skills the students are going to need that are technology and not technology related. It's going to be a blend between the two. Non-technology is again, we cover a lot of this in our life skills. We're just going to be more deliberate about incorporating it into our model moving forward. And then on the right side, we have technology related skills. And we do some of this already, but what we really need to change what we do is the digital literacy, media literacy, and digital communication skills. The students aren't explicitly being taught these things. All right. Here is the plan I'm proposing going forward. We got step 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then we'll talk about the final step on the next slide. But in step 1, we want to create a team, and we want to develop a shared vision of what we want to do. So this is the first month or two. We have to establish a 21st century learning committee, and then start identifying grade priorities. That's step 1. Step 2 is we're just going to strengthen what we already do. Like I said, we're not changing everything we do, we're strengthening what we do. So maybe eliminating some of the things that don't work as well or meet the needs of the kids moving into the 21st century. And we're going to facilitate this through professional development on the PBL, inquiry-based instruction, performance-based assessments, and digital citizenship and media literacy, which is going to be kind of a new thing for us, but I think it's important to teach this going forward and be more intentional, I cannot speak today, intentional about training the kids on using the digital platforms responsibly. That's a 2 to 6 month process, but honestly this whole thing is going to be ongoing. This is going to evolve over months and years, not a quarter or a semester. Step 3 is we're going to adopt school-wide digital tools for collaboration. We already have some of this, but we are a little bit, we're not all on the same page. We need to narrow our focus to really only be using a few workspaces so that everyone can become proficient in them. We're going to talk about digital citizenship, online safety, and media literacy. Again, those words are popping up. And we're going to provide professional development for the teachers that want it to help improve their skills on these platforms so they can teach them more successfully to their students. In step 4, we're going to expand to real-world model city projects. So we're really going to build on our PBL. We're going to expand that out and do more with the collaboration elements of that and getting productive discourse between the students, more collaboration, and using those online platforms. The final step is basically the reflection piece. We're going to reflect, rethink, expand, and celebrate. And this is going to be an ongoing process. Like I said, it's going to be months and years, not a quarter or a semester, to really keep fine-tuning. Education isn't stagnant. If you have a 30-year career, you're not teaching the same way you did in year 1. So this is just going to be ongoing, and we're always going to be taking steps forward to those 21st century skills and preparing the students for whatever the future workforce looks like. We want to build sustainability through highlighting successes and identifying our next steps to evolve. There's going to be missteps along the way, but we're going to move in the right direction by working together. All right, so here's a reflection journal item. We all have our journals to jot down. We're going to give you a moment, and I want you to think about the question and answer which 21st century skills do you believe our students need most, and how can we intentionally build them into our daily instruction? I give you a few moments to ponder that and write it down. All right, and since this is a project, I'm going to move to the next one since I'm not actually in front of a group of people. And here's our second reflection question. How can we better connect what students learn in class to real-world, authentic experiences already happening in our model city? All right, we're going to jot this one down. And when the staff is done doing that, we are going to actually, oops, I went the wrong direction. We are actually going to talk about those and maybe jot some ideas on the whiteboard if I was in a room with these people. And so we come up with some cool ideas, and then we talk about our next steps of forming a team, making one strategy. We're going to pilot a new strategy at each grade level, just like small baby steps to get things going. Then we're going to gather some feedback after the first 6 weeks and make some adjustments. All right. Thank you, and have a great day.